Yeah, right, I got it in Google Docs. Got the studio mode all set up now.
Oh my, it's already like a sunset. It's not even 4 o'clock. starting in like a minute.
Okay, that's enough of you chiptune house music. Aww. And welcome, viewers, to another episode of Games by Design. I am Deus.
I'm Pseudo.
I don't know if Rage said anything there. Nope. We got nothing there. It's not on my end because we can hear Pseudo.
Yeah, it was just working like right before it started. What happened? Maybe it was the dancing.
You've muted yourself somehow. Totally wasn't me. Promise you. Anyway, while Rage figures out his technical issues, we don't have time for him to figure out all of his issues. That would take forever, but at least the technical ones can get sorted out here. Today we're taking a little bit more of a lighthearted approach. We will be reviewing some of the new games that are out. Some of the big ones, see if they're worth spending money on if you haven't already invested. If we have any time, we'll talk about some indie ones, perhaps, that we like. But first, I would like to get a few Fs in chat. R.I.P. for Mr. Brad McQuaid. Left us far too early. He was 51. Creator of EverQuest, EverQuest 2, Vanguard. One of the leads on the coming title, pantheon, which I've been chomping at the bit for. He will be dearly missed. We will be doing an episode dedicated to his work and talking about some MMO stuff coming up. Moment of silence. And now let's see if Rage can break that silence. I don't think.
Should we restart the call?
Nope, I fixed it.
There we go. I was about to say you might have to call tech support, but I'm busy.
I fixed it. Also, hi Raven. Hi chat.
Hello, Raven. Welcome to the stream. Also, I'd like to give a little shout out to the few subscribers that are actually here. Welcome to the table. We finally figured our shit out. We have our themes going. We know who we are now. Welcome to the table. Enjoy your seat. Your seat is coming for you. You will have a seat very soon. But in the meantime, a welcome to the table.
Okay, so while my audio was out of commission, what are we doing? Did we outline what we're doing?
We did. I gave a moment of silence to Brad McQuaid. I talked a little bit about that. He has passed away at the very young age of 51. Pioneer in the industry. Changed games as we know them. I talked a little bit that we will be doing that. And I said that we're going to be reviewing some new games. Since you can finally talk, why don't you start?
And everybody knows I love to talk.
There we go. Our three big ones. We can all take one.
I mean, obviously not soloing these game reviews. We are going to be taking opinions from other members of the panel and chat. If you would love to chime in, that would be great.
Yeah, anybody that's played one?
Yeah, if you have any experience with these games, absolutely jump on in. And which one should we go for first? What do you think?
If I don't see any opinions soon, we'll just choose one.
Flip a three-sided coin.
Looks like we may be on our own.
And here's our test subscription for our subs. This is what you missed, and I'm sorry we got it set up after you subbed. Welcome to the table.
How
That
fancy
amazing
it
table.
is. Okay, well, I guess let's start digging in on Fallen Order then.
All right, it's up. It's on the screen. Pseudo, have you actually gotten to play any yet, or is this one out of your wheelhouse even?
Wheelhorse.
I need a wheel horse. Why don't I have a wheel horse yet? I want my wheel horse. Get on it.
I haven't played it personally, but I've done a bit of research on it and watched a lot of other people play it, including yourself.
Excellent, excellent.
So we're basically there.
Yeah, basically. We like to start at the bottom of our reviews for those that haven't gotten to see our methodology on how we like to break down a game and review its qualities. So I will let Rage start with the writing.
The writing, interesting. Okay, so for what it is, I would say that the writing in Star Wars Fallen Order, the storyline is fitting for the universe. It's nothing special. The character writing I thought was actually quite good. The characters were believable, if sometimes making very poor decisions. And the world building was solid. It was there. I felt like the places that we were experiencing as we traveled throughout the game were fitting in the Star Wars universe. It made sense.
Was that 3 goods or 2 goods and an okay?
That'd be 2 goods and an okay.
Like this?
good under world building, okay under story. Storyline.
Okay. Do you want to elaborate on that? I think you can actually access this sheet yourself. Pretty sure.
What?
All this
Have me
newfangled
actually just, like,
modern
type
day
in things?
technology.
Who does that? Let me see here. Shared with me.
Storyline simple but efficient. Yeah, you enjoyed the story as well, Raven? I thought it had a couple twists and turns. I liked the characters they used. I really liked the introduction of the Shadow Jedi. The third sort of ritual of Force wielders being introduced. And while we were playing, we had a fairly large fan of the Star Wars universe actually fact-checking a lot of the stuff in the game. Like, the zombies. Turns out there is a history of zombie lore within the Jedi universe. I had no idea. I learned this through the game.
So I actually do not have access to that sheet.
Okay, we'll get all that figured out later. I can,
That's technical difficulties. We'll get it figured out.
Luckily, I can dictate. I know how to type. Typing has been my job for longer than I care to admit.
And I would agree with the assessment of the storyline that both Raven and you have given, that it's, not necessarily the fanciest, most wonderful thing in the world, but it's totally worthwhile for the game. Makes the game work.
Is that about all you really have to say about the OK?
Yep, it's fine. It's not terrible. It's not great.
The characters? You gave it a good.
Yeah, I would say that the characters were very believable. They were well written. You could tell that they had their own motivations for doing things. There was enough intrigue and subtlety to the characters to keep me interested. I wouldn't say that it was, mind-blowing character writing, but it was good. I liked it.
There we go.
Hey, formatting.
Very important. We need to be able to reference this information.
Yeah, but I definitely want to touch on the mocap later on. I thought the facial animation in particular was great. But for world building, I would say that definitely the worlds all felt like they belonged in the Star Wars universe. They felt like they were a believable part of the lore. I don't believe any of them had been touched on previously in canon lore, maybe in expanded universe, but they felt like they fit right in.
I think the one planet where we were fighting the spiders and freeing the Wookiees was in the game, or in one of the movies. Kashyyyk.
Oh yes, Kashyyyk does exist in existing Star Wars lore.
Yeah. But other than that, yeah, I don't remember any of them. I'm not super up on my Star Wars lore, as I've admitted, but I don't remember any of the other names. To that, I would add that the locale enemies added to the feel and belief that they were organic locations.
Yeah, and the enemies that you fought generally suited the place that you fought them.
Yeah, everything gave that place its own feel. You got the swampy, murky wet boot feeling from the first planet and the hopeless lost jungle feeling. Kashyyyk, yeah. I was happy with the world. It felt like actually exploring Star Wars.
Which was great.
Yeah.
Felt
yeah.
really good.
Pseudo, what did you think of the writing? Do you have anything you would want to add to that?
From what I've seen, it seems solid. It didn't seem like it was like the characters are believable. One thing that kind of worried me when I first when the trailers for this game was launched, that is that the main character kind of seemed like he'd be annoying, if that makes sense. They first kind of showed him like, oh god, he's gonna be like a young Jedi. Hopefully, he's not just kind of like the stereotypical kind of complaining like what's happening. But he seemed solid. It seemed like an actual decently written character that you could kind of put yourself in his shoes.
Yeah, I definitely found all of their responses believable, their interactions believable. Nothing I thought was like, that wouldn't happen. I'd never said that once, I don't think.
And I think the character arc that the main character Cal went through was like actually fairly believable. It was reasonable. Like he started out with basically no motivation to do anything, and by the ends of it, and he's making decisions that affect an entire generation of potential Jedi.
That also leads into the scene where he was asked why he did it, and he ended up explaining, sometimes life doesn't give you a choice. Because he never really chose to do it, it was just kind of thrust upon him. Some people are born great, some choose greatness, some have greatness thrust upon them. The video. I think this one will go over fairly well.
I'll jump in on this one.
Liked the flashback for the training. Sweet little touch. I agree. I did enjoy that part of it. And it also worked out for a decent training method.
Yeah, the tutorialization of it I thought worked out very well, but I also felt like they were a little shoehorned at times. Like it just could have maybe been worked in a little better, but it was still good overall.
I think that was more due to the fact that it was so hand-holdy. Your shoehorning feeling. Do exactly this in exactly this way at that time.
Yeah. But as far as video goes, I would actually give it a good for all three categories.
I would say okay in animation personally.
Because of some of the jankiness around traversing the landscape.
Yeah, and the running always looks kind of off to me, and the jumping was a little stiff. It just had that stick up the ass animation feel to it on the jump.
Yeah, I can get behind that. I was gonna say good for the animation based on how well they did with the facial rigging and the skeletons, and how well they did with a lot of the creature animation.
That deserves
aside from the ridiculous tracking that some of them have.
And the parry animations were pretty good too.
But yeah, they were solid.
The only reason I lean towards okay is because the running and the jumping is just in your face the entire time you're playing it. And it
plus the little waddle around the ship. He doesn't actually walk, he waddles everywhere.
Well, that was me waddling. I was just like swapping left and right real quick as I'm walking forward to give that kind of
I mean, even if you don't do that, he still waddles. I played the game too.
That's fair. Yeah, and it's just such a big part of the game that if it's constantly in my face like that, it's upsetting. It just doesn't feel quite right.
Yeah, I'd agree with you for okay for animation then.
It's definitely not bad. Definitely not bad. Not bad at all.
Pseudo, you have anything to weigh in on here?
I think you guys basically covered it. I do think the combat animations were pretty decent. There was some kind of weirdness when you actually do the climbing stuff. I find just watching a few people kind of climb around. There's a lot of like snapping and kind of launching around that would kind of happen, or things that you should obviously would have grabbed onto but didn't, and like the animations kind of just looked like you did, and then you would still just fall. But other than that, it seemed pretty solid.
Walking animation could look clumsy if you don't feel the weight of the character. Yeah. It just looked off. The walking was a little off. The jumping is what got me more than anything. It's that classic, like, straight back, stick up the ass, jump animation from the 90s and whatnot. It was just...
Where only the legs move.
Yeah. That was the worst of them. Other than that, I would give it a good. Other than that, it would get a good in my books. But good has to mean something. Can't just give everything. That's my opinion.
So let's condense those thoughts in our little blurb boxes here.
The video style.
Style, I mean, I thought it was pretty spot on. It looked great. It looked like Star Wars. The stormtroopers looked particularly good. Like, they really looked like stormtroopers.
They were very satisfying to kill.
Indeed, they were.
I will cover the animation since I changed it. The animation was very good all around. Combat was very fluid, and I enjoyed the special parry kill animations a lot. The only off-putting factor was the walking and jumping animations.
Yeah, actually, on the note of the parry kills, just because I want to call this out, because I thought it was very well done, it reminds me a lot of the glory kill system in Doom 2016, in that the animations are short, sweet, to the point, and they feel very satisfying. So you don't it doesn't feel like it's really disrupting your gameplay in order to play this. Oh, you have a special kill animation now.
Yeah, I agree. It just made it feel like it was part of a fast-paced, fluid combat. Nothing around you stopped during that time. Everything kept moving. You just did some vaulty maneuver, maybe had a couple iframes, and got to kill something. Who doesn't like killing things? Everyone likes killing things. That's why we're all here.
That's why Doom is the granddaddy of all video games.
Yep. The stick up the ass jump animation was very off-putting and front and center for most of the game. Pookie loves healing. Hey Pookie, thanks for the healing. Welcome to the stream. Glad you could join the discussion. Love to hear your thoughts if you have any input on anything we're talking about. And the performance.
I ran the game mostly without a frame counter, but it did feel like it was sitting around 100 or so FPS at 1440p, and I would say that is perfectly fine performance, especially for a third party or third person perspective. Wow, that took a lot of effort. Third person perspective action game.
He likes to talk, he's just not very good at it.
I have a lot of enthusiasm.
Yeah, we played through the entire game without noticeable frame drop at 1440p. Were you on Ultra?
Yep, everything was maxed out.
Ultra, all max settings. Legit!
Yeah, it ran really well. The folks at Respawn know what they're doing.
Yep, shout out to Respawn. Good job. Just because we don't play most of the games you've made doesn't mean we don't like and respect most of the games you've made. Most of them.
I did play both of the Titanfalls and thought they were wonderful. Go play them. They're great. More people need to play those games.
Maybe I will pick one up and try it. Maybe on stream. I don't know how many people would want to see it, but... Hi, Charles!
Yeah. The EA is the publisher for Respawn Entertainment. They've created both of the Titanfalls. They've created Jedi Fallen Order, and they've created Apex Legends. And the developers are a team of people who initially came from Infinity Ward. who was the one of the original developers of the Call of Duty series and created what, in my opinion, is the best shooter or competitive shooter ever, which is Call of Duty 4. I played that game semi-professionally and loved every minute. Got way too competitive though.
I want to see competitive rage. I've only seen casual rage. I want to see the fire in the eyes.
One of these days we'll fire up a competitive shooter. We'll see if he turns up.
Get some competitive teabagging going on. The sound effects. Pseudo, you've played enough of the game. I'm sure you could comment on the sound of it. Jaggernaut with the Twitch Prime subscription. Thank you very much. Welcome to the table. Enjoy your seat.
I mean, for what I've saw and listened to it, it was solid again. Like, nothing really irked me too much. The main thing to me would be in this game would be the blaster sound effects as well as the lightsabers, and that stuff seemed good. And it seemed satisfying when you actually struck something. The actual sound it makes when you hit and slice through something was what I had expected.
Yeah, the sound effects were very well done. The disappointment that came along with hitting something with your lightsaber, if it then did not break, that was pretty severe.
I fully agree. Fully agree. Hello, Jaggernaut. Welcome. Yes, I actually got bonus points in my old English class for creating a new onomatopoeia just for the sound of a lightsaber. The sound is buzzwomp.
Yep, that is accurate. Buzzwomp.
That's the sound a lightsaber makes. Now everybody knows, and you can buzzwomp everywhere you go. But yeah, I just loved the sound effects in the game. That was my favorite part. I'm not a massive Star Wars fan, but I felt like a Jedi because whenever I'm attacking, I get the bzzz-womp, bzzz-womp. Yeah, too good. The blasters sounded perfect. The deflecting the blasters was one of my favorite things to do in the game because of the sounds of it bouncing off of the thing like a baseball bat. Yes.
Oh yeah, the blaster parries were super satisfying.
The voice acting. Pseudo?
Once again, it seems it's a fairly big studio, so it'd be pretty surprising if they messed it up. But the emotion and feel and the dialogue was believable. It didn't really pull me out too much. Where I find with some games where like midway through a sentence you're kind of like, oh yeah, this is just like a voice actor, and you can kind of tell from the writing. It seemed believable, and like I said before, I was worried with the trailers and stuff that this kid was going to be like the with a few other games that kind of do this, or a few other movies and TV shows where it's like the inexperienced kid gets thrown into a dire situation, and he's kind of just like they kind of focus too much on his I guess youngness or adolescence at the beginning, where he's kind of just whining and complaining and doesn't know what's going on. That eventually, the coming of age stuff. But he seemed to be solid. But he seemed to be believably the situation, the way he was responding was believable, but it wasn't annoying.
Yeah, I would say overall that would hold through the entire game. Like, the voices may not have been the greatest thing since, I don't know, Powderati, but they were all delivered very well and with the appropriate levels of emotion during different parts of the game. In particular, I thought the Night Sister was voiced very, very well. I thought she was great.
She was one of my favorite characters for sure in the game. She brought a lot of the laughs into the game as well, and I'm a big fan of comic relief in games to lighten the moment at the right time. And they used it very well, which is important.
Yeah, I was not a fan of Grease as a character, but I thought the Night Sister made a fantastic comic relief with her interactions with Grease.
Yeah. Grease by himself wasn't amazing, though I didn't mind him. He fit as the generic pilot to transport you around. And the musical score, I think we can all just say it's a major industry with a Star Wars IP.
Yeah, was it actually John Williams that did it?
I don't know.
Me neither.
But they have
one of us should have looked that up.
They have the entire canon history of Star Wars to pull information from and use. They have access rights to all the music that the studio would own for it, so yeah, it was a Star Wars production. Star Wars has always had good music. It's always been one of my favorite parts of the show. Oh, we actually didn't give them ratings. I just kind of jumped in. But yeah, they were all good. I'm giving audio a green across the board. It was a fantastic.
I feel like I feel like no matter where we start, as long as it isn't like trying to go overall and say audio was good.
Yeah, no, this is
fine,
these are tied together
justify.
as one. Yeah, this is the justification, and then this becomes the ratings of below. 100%. Breeze was your fave in terms of character design and persona. What about him did you like so much? Yeah, we'll talk about our opinions, but we won't put our opinions in the facts here. These are facts. Opinions are from us. Opinions will make it if you enjoy the game or not. Facts just change if it was a well-built, well-designed game or not. That's our separation here. That's how you make reviews useful. Can't have a useful review if the entire thing is based on your opinion. Your opinion's worth absolutely nothing. Matters only to you. Though we want to hear your opinions. Don't.
We want to hear it. It just may not make it into the review.
Yeah.
It will inform our decisions about things, but it will not change the facts about the game.
I was more talking to all the other game reviewers out there that like to go into their review and say, in my opinion, the game was this. Welcome, Mr. Lowe, to the stream. Welcome to the table, since I never got to say it to you before. Your chair is coming.
Can't wait for the chairs. I'm hyped for chairs.
Yep, I'm hyped for chairs too.
Okay, shall we move on to gameplay then?
Yes, one of arguably the most important. You can have green across the board, and if there's red in this area, it's probably a bad game.
And I would say it's okay. I wouldn't say it's great.
Control?
Yeah, it controlled okay.
I'm with you. Sometimes better than others, but the thing that bugged me the most about the control is the way the Force felt. The Force is the most powerful thing in the universe as long as you use it the way they want you to use it. As soon as you try to do anything fun with the Force, it basically just stops working. That was disappointing.
Well, that and problems with the parry windows at higher difficulties and like just the jump and climb systems not feeling super great.
I did feel the wall run was fairly well done.
Yeah, but that's their thing. They've been doing wall running since Titanfall 1.
Okay, fair enough. Fair enough. But yeah, no, I'm not disagreeing that the control is okay. I don't think the mercenaries are random. I don't think that's RNG. I think that's a planned spawn in that one spot, because I've seen it every time. And if you die, then they're just not there for the next run. So I don't like that system, but I don't think it's RNG. Because we're looking
like,
at RNG.
It's a system in which they have certain spots that are going to spawn a bounty hunter, but it's RNG as to which one you get, and then they aren't necessarily there next time. Overall, I really don't like that system.
I think they were the same ones every time. I think I remember seeing the same bounty hunter showing up in the same spots the other playthroughs I've watched of people doing it. I do believe.
When I was watching Lobos playthrough, he definitely got different bounty hunters than you did.
Okay. Well, then let's call it okay. I don't think it's enough to call it bad on the RNG, but it's definitely enough to bump the RNG down to it. Okay.
Yeah, I agree. It's a system that really bothers me in the game. I think it shouldn't be there.
Yeah. See, I would love it Even if they were random, I'm fine with that. If they stayed
But have
there.
them be there.
Have them stay
Let
there.
me fight them.
Yeah, don't just kill me with one and then fuck off. That's not fun, that's not interesting, that's not good. Don't do that. I want my bosses. I like killing bosses. Don't kill me with a boss and then take the boss away. That's no good.
100%.
I didn't hit or have not seen a bug hit by a streamer.
I've seen some.
Other than just like little glitchy stuff. Yeah, it's
Yeah, I've
fine.
seen some glitchy stuff happen. I'm not sure if you guys seen or know who Video Game Donkey is, but he just released a video that was kind of funny and went through most of the bugs he found. Most of them were kind of just weird AI stuff.
Yeah, I mean, I managed
like
to confuse the AI here and there. But
Yeah, like he'd walk by an enemy and then he would just reset and go back and stand where he was and put his weapon away and just like, oh, interesting. Okay.
like, there was one time where there was a fleet of stormtroopers that came at me, and I parried every single one of them and deflected every single blaster bolt left until there was just one, and he just stood there not doing anything. Like, the AI just went, I don't know how to fight this guy. And stopped.
I can't kill this bastard. What do I do?
And I was honestly at the time like, did they just program stormtroopers really, really well, or did I break the state machine?
Maybe both.
Yeah, maybe. Like, because I mean, a big chunk of me throughout the whole game was like, these are the bravest stormtroopers in the entire existence of Star Wars. They've never missed a blaster shot. Every single shot was at you. And they never ran away. You could kill 20 of them and that last guy would still be shooting at you. Those are some brave stormtroopers. Quality accuracy on them too. Yeah, you didn't really think of it, did you? It's like a video game, but yeah, all of a sudden you're like, wait a minute, these stormtroopers are badass.
Oh yeah. And you finally see the precision of the Imperial Stormtrooper.
So I'm gonna give it
out in episode 4.
I'm still gonna give the bugs a good, because the most the bugs cost me was a hit at any part of the game. And I think the most atrocious one that I can think of in my playthrough was when I got shot by a blaster bolt that came out 90 degrees from a blaster.
Yeah.
He's
And I
pointing
mean, like,
this way,
that's
and the
just
bolt
a
came this
sticky
way out of the
animation.
gun. Yeah, and hit me, and I wasn't prepared to deflect it because his gun was pointing at the wall, not me. I didn't expect a blaster bolt to hit me from there. Come on! No, it was still good for bugs, though. The mechanics.
As much as I like the game, okay.
I was of the same mindset. Pseudo?
Yeah, I mean, I can't really talk too much about mechanics because I haven't really played it too much, but
Yeah. The okay for me comes from all the force power puzzles and stuff like that. They were interesting, but again, they were only interesting if you interact with them the way they wanted you to interact with them. If you tried to get creative with them and figure out your own way of doing them, for the most part,
Except for the one that we broke.
except for that one, for the most part, I did break one puzzle and it was awesome. And I have the clip up, so watch it. But other than that, yeah, the puzzle was, you did it my way, it's done, yay, or you didn't do it my way, go figure out my way. So it was okay. I would have liked more creativity in the puzzles, but it's better than I expected from the studio. Straight up. As their first character action Souls-like game, it's better than I expected from them.
Yeah, overall, very well done. I did find it frustrating, though, how they shoehorned you into using certain versions of the lightsaber in certain parts of the game. Like really forcing you to use the dual-bladed lightsaber for multi-enemy combat, like taking away your ability to deflect more than one blaster bolt just because you're only using one end of a lightsaber rather than both. Like, come on. I just want to use the single one. Why make me use the double?
I really...
And as Raven says, no real dual wielding.
Yes, I'm with you, Raven. I would have loved to have gotten to dual wield the lightsaber. That one dual wield attack was tons of fun. It did amazing damage and it was fantastic and I loved it. But other than that, it was just, oh, why did I put it back on? I don't want to put it back on. What are you doing? Yeah. Yeah. Now I'm depressed. I really wanted to dual wield.
Oh, I just want my dual wield lightsaber, man.
But yeah, like if you could have just sharpened up that parry button a little bit, because it was really muddy. Like you hit it and you've got to just hold it after that, and if you let it go, the hit's just gonna hit you on the next one. It took so long. I would have loved to have that Sekiro sharp parry timing, so that the double blade I can hold and keep parrying, and the single one I've got to hit for every single bolt that comes in. This way I can still work with the single one, but I've got the option of using it and doing the higher single target damage, sacrificing some of my AoE damage to kind of dodge and roll and interact with the game a little bit, and still be able to keep up to the parries just with a higher skill window. I think would have been a really nice touch to the combat.
Yeah, 100% agree.
And accessibility, okay. It did have double inverted thumbsticks, because I was able to play.
I believe it had some color modes, color blindness modes.
Do we have any colorblind people in the chat? Or any people that need hearing aid, require subtitles, stuff like that? You're colorblind? Kinda? Interesting.
Did you find the stream hard to watch?
Yeah, did you find anything hard to follow? Not bad for you? You know what? Honestly, just thinking about it, I don't think anything in the game even relied on color. I can't think of anything.
Force powers. Whether or not you can interact with
glowing red or
object
glowing
with
blue.
your force powers.
And then on the map, it was red, blue, and yellow color-coded on the map. And red can be a really bad one. And I don't know if they had a option, so let's give it an okay, I guess.
Yeah, I would say okay, because it does have double inverted thumbsticks. It does have accessibility for hearing people. It's got separate volume sliders. It's got subtitles. It's got full closed captions. But they did miss out on some of the visual stuff.
Yeah, and colorblind is really, really something that a lot of game don't think about. And there are a large quantity of people out there that play games that do suffer from colorblind issues. People like
that's one of the things I would actually like to applaud DICE for in their work with the Frostbite engine. They actually have great support for colorblind modes in that engine.
Now if only it had good gameplay.
Right?
So if we go back and review this, well, let's do our little jot downs here. We'll actually write down our reviews
after.
Yeah. The control.
We overall thought it was okay. Could be more responsive.
Parry button felt muddy. Parry windows were awkward on Jedi Master. Difficulty. To anybody watching that thinking about playing this game, absolutely play it on Jedi Master, not Jedi Grandmaster. Jedi Grandmaster felt... It's like trying to play Dark Souls 2 without enough agility.
And also your parry button only works half the time for some reason.
Yeah.
As somebody who has several hundred hours in Dark Souls 2, its parrying is better than this game's on Jedi Grandmaster.
And we all know how terrible how terrible Dark Souls 2 parrying was. I absolutely loved the parrying in Dark Souls. It was my favorite part of the game. And then I played Dark Souls 2 and died 3 times trying to parry the first enemy and said, okay, we're rolling through this one. That was the end of Dark Souls 2. I rolled through the rest of the game. Yep. Other than that, I think it was pretty good. That's about really the only negative I can say. The RNG, we hated.
Jumping and climbing felt weird.
Jumping and climbing felt weird. Why? Oh, why do I need to hit a button to start climbing instead of falling off? Question mark? Is that fair?
Yeah.
So many times, like at the very beginning of the game when I was still getting used to the, you've grabbed this fence, now push this button to hold on for dear life or you're just gonna let go. My character would let go and I would die, and I'm thinking, game, what about this makes you think I wanted to fall to my doom? Look at all the shit I just went through. I'm holding on for dear life. Why do you think I want to be down there in that pit? I don't. I've grabbed the wall. I want to stay on the wall. Please. And thank you. That button serves no purpose. It stops you from climbing on the wall. Until you've pressed the button, you can't even move. So if you were trying to get away and hit the wall and stuck there and didn't hit the button and there was something coming after you, you would just stand there and watch it come after you, waiting to decide if you want to climb or let go of the wall and fall to your doom. This isn't a decision. This is my biggest complaint. Rant done.
RNG, fix the bounty hunter system. If you're gonna put a bounty hunter there, let me fight him. Not the worst thing in the world, but frustrating enough that I don't feel good giving it a good in the RNG category.
I am 100% with you. When I encounter a boss, I want to encounter a boss. Not, hey, surprise, we killed you, now we're gone. And now we're going to leave.
Now we just took off.
Now we're gone, and we're going to leave everything that we've taken from you sitting in the room, so that you have lost maybe 30 seconds of your life as you get back to the room. Pick up what you had, and now continue on as though nothing ever happened without losing anything. Come on. If they're gonna absolutely leave, at least make them take your shit with you so you've lost something, and the game's like, haha, you're punished for your death, rather than, oh, you died, oh well, here you go.
Bugs, nothing major.
No major bugs to really mention, just little things that don't matter unless you are trying to no-hit.
Poor Hob. Everybody should go watch Happy Hob, by the way.
Yeah, Happy Hob's been doing a lot of speedrunning of the game, or not speedrunning, no hitting of the game. I believe he's already had a PB of 1 hit.
Or wait, what's his channel? Is that even his channel? Nope. No, it is not.
There's Hob. Hi, Hob. Thanks for all your hard work. There you go. We both did it.
Yay.
Yeah, that part was meh. But as I said, I like the fact that they are not at the same spot because their mission is to get you. Yep. And we're totally cool with them spawning in random spots. We just want to fight them or at least have a death penalty. You're going to call yourself a...
If they're gonna have these bounty hunters show up, and yes, I've noticed that my camera is broken, and I'll fix it in a second. If we notice that these bounty hunters show up, they kill us, they take our shit, and then they, go somewhere else on a map on a different planet, and you have to go chase them down and get them and get your stuff back. That would be great. I would love that, but that's not what they did.
Yeah, basically, if the major lesson. If the developers ever actually watch this review of their game and are trying to figure out the better ways to make the game, if you're making a Souls-like, one of the core principles of a Souls-like is death penalty. You lose something. You are punished for your mistakes. We need that punishment, otherwise the game's just not rewarding enough. Too easy to get through. The mechanics got the okay due to...
the parry timing, the lack of actual dual wield, them forcing you into using certain lightsabers in certain situations, and the lack of depth to the force system.
Sorry, what was the third one you mentioned?
I don't remember. I just talk. I believe it was the force system.
I got that. The force system and the parry implementation.
Forcing you into using lightsabers a particular way.
No real dual wield with the lightsabers. Slash forced to play a certain way to be effective with lightsabers. That's one of the very good things to point out, the force to play a certain way. People will talk about Bloodborne and Dark Souls and how there's so many weapons in the game and how do you know which one to use. With some few exceptions, there are a couple instances that are cheesy where there's a sword that is exactly like another sword, just better. But it doesn't happen very often. And even that one that isn't better, you can finish the game with it. You can grab any weapon in that game and it can become a good weapon. You power it up, you enchant it, you level it up, it will deal enough damage to kill the bosses. They're all usable.
Hell, you can do it without a weapon. You can do it with your bare fists. Go be Lobos.
Yes, we can all become a masochist. And accessibility, it had dual inversion, CCs.
Yeah, full closed captioning too, not just subtitles, which was
full
great.
Closed captioning as well. But it was lacking colorblind options and some force areas, as well as mapping required color cues. So, if we look down, gameplay is okay. But the audio was good. The video was good. And generally the writing was good. That's how our system works. What do you think?
And I think that that's a pretty accurate representation of the game. I would say overall it was a good game.
Yep. I fully agree. I'll probably never play it again. I don't think it was interesting enough to hold my attention to go back and play it again. But I could definitely see a major Star Wars fan playing it again. If you're not huge into the Souls-like, or you're not super great at them, but you're just starting to get into them, I thought it was a difficulty level that was great for newbies to get into and start feeling a bit of that great, intricate combat. It's going to be an opener for a lot of the Star Wars people. I think a lot of people will enjoy the game greatly and play it multiple times.
Yeah. I personally feel like it would be a game that I will probably come back to in like 5 years and just be like, you know what? I want to play Fallen Order again. That was a good game.
Actually, you know, over quite a few years, I could see me maybe coming back to it again and playing it again if I'm bored one day. I have so many games on that list, though.
Yeah, the game backlog is real.
You know what the biggest problem with the game backlog is? Oh man, look at all these games that I haven't played in a while. Factorio. Let's do Outer Worlds next.
Sure.
Because Pseudo knows this one well.
As a note to chat and anybody who may be watching this in the future, these will eventually be hosted in a wiki somewhere. We haven't quite decided on it yet. But there will be a backlog of reviews that we have conducted. Not necessarily all of them will be streamed, but hopefully most of them will. And they will be available for you to peruse at your leisure.
All right, Pseudo. You didn't get to say a lot in the last one, but now we're in your wheelhouse because it's not the best choice.
It's Spacey's choice.
And with that, I'm going to get some more water. Be right back.
All right, I will start off with this. Trying to figure out the best way to.
We usually start at the bottom with the writing and work our way up.
Fantastic. That is probably my favorite thing about this game, so it works out. Um, I'll just jump right into it then. People who don't know what the Outer Worlds is, it's a game by Obsidian, same people who did New Vegas, and someone to think of the original members of the Black Isle, people who did the original Fallout series. Some of my favorite games have been made by them. Their stories and just their overall game design is just fantastic. And I've loved almost everything they've put out, including the Outer Worlds. I'm going to start right with the writing, which is fantastic. The characters and personality and their flaws as well are believably written. It kind of surprised me because it's been a while since I played a game that really actually made me care about the companions I had and the choices you have to make. Most of the time, especially when like this game does have quite a bit of kind of political satire and current event satire, as well as a lot of commentary on consumerism and capitalism, as well as just corporations and the imperialistic approach they usually take to their bottom line, which when it's done a lot of the times, it's kind of easy to see like who's a bad guy, who's a good guy, like the path that like the writer themselves had in their mind when they wrote this story or wrote this game of this is like the right and wrong. This game doesn't really have that. This game does have all the stuff that's there, but it's presented in a way where it turns out these situations aren't always so black and white. It isn't always just a right and a wrong choice. And basically, right at the start of the game, you're presented with a choice which you think would be very obvious. You kind of just want to screw over the corporation and stick it to the man. But before you do that, one of your companions that you're with kind of reminds you, like, hey, like, I'm from this town, and you're not really screwing the corporation too much. You're kind of actually screwing over everyone in the town, and it's kind of more than just sticking it to the man. There's repercussions for the actions that you take. You're going to be screwing up a lot of people, and it kind of makes you think like, oh wow, like you get so easy before just to do like I want good or bad playthrough, and now it's a bit more complicated than that. And just the way that they kind of present it to you isn't just like so cut and dry too. You can tell that like just through the actual writing and the voice acting, it's like like you don't really see it as a written choice of actually like you believe this person cares about what's happening around them. And from that, the bad guys aren't just like cookie cutter bad guys. You'll run into a few people who are kind of they work for like this kind of big end corporation that's just usually be easy to hate and care and terrible. But right out of the gate, they kind of one of the people you would assume to be a big bad. You kind of read some of his dialogue from a computer that he was talking to someone that and you see that he's not really like that terrible person. He's still just human. He's just kind of doing what he thinks is best, as well as a lot of other people that are with this kind of corporation are doing kind of what they think is best for everyone around them. Not intrinsically terrible, just kind of misled. And it makes some of the decisions you have to make a bit harder because it's not so easy. Oh, this person's bad. I can just kill them or screw them over. You're kind of like, you know what? This person is still just trying their best. They're just misled, which can happen to any of us, including like wouldn't in the game being the player itself. You can be easily misled to make choices that you think would be good, but turns out aren't.
Yep. I'd just like to touch real quick on you were talking about the choice in that first town. That's the first game in years where I'm at the terminal ready to make the decision. The game tells you whatever you do here, it can never be reversed. This is a one-time thing. And I sat there staring at my decision, thinking, trying to figure out the best way to do this. And I didn't like either option. So I went back and I talked to everyone and I snooped through drawers and I read their computer terminals and I got as much information about them as I could, trying to make some way to appease my moral conscience so I can happily go one way or the other. And I couldn't. It was a very difficult decision to make, and I was hooked from that moment of the game.
Yeah, they did it like really well. Where I thought about it for a second. Like I ended up choosing to try to be spoilers, but I ended up choosing the what I had with the original intentions, which is just to kind of screw over the corporation. Because I was thinking, I'm like, you know what, like either way, if I screw with other people, they're as good as dead, regardless. And I just didn't like the way that dude talked to me in the beginning. So on a personal level, I was like, you know what, fuck that guy. I'm gonna screw him over. Also, probably gonna go back and just kill him for fun because why not? I hate him. Which after that, even when you go back into the town, you confront him, and that is beautifully written as well. Like I was expecting just you go back, this town hates you and they shoot up you. Like no, like you actually they let you in and they talk to you because it is just a town. It's like it's a like they would try to like when you confront them without spoiling it too much, depending on what your dialogue skills are, there's a lot you can do. And there is just an option where like you'll just get into like a gunfight and do what you want. But there is a lot of ways to just like he's just a human too. It was just his job to keep the town running, and now you've kind of just screwed up his whole life.
Yep.
So it was really cool to see that. It's been a long time since the game really made me actually care about the decisions I was making. It kind of made me actually accountable for what was going on around and not just being this guy. The other game I can think about would be like kind of the same feeling that Undertale did to you, where like you're so used to being able to do whatever you want in the game, and now this game will call you out for save scumming and killing people. If you save and start killing people and unsave, it'll actually call you out and be like, "What the hell are you doing?" It's kind of fucked up. And it's like, oh shit, like what am I doing, right? You don't think about it, and it's like it's stuff like that. It's the same feeling I got when playing this game. And then other than that, the actual companions, like I played a lot of New Vegas. It's one of my favorite games, and I cared a lot about the companions for like at least most of them. Like they had decent backstories. Like Boone was probably one of my favorite, just because he was just kind of complicated, interesting, and you kind of had to like work with him and talk to him a bit to actually figure out what was going on in his head and what his backstory was, and it made you intrigued and care. It wasn't just like you run into someone and it's like, here's my whole backstory in 1 or 2 dialogue sessions, because that's just what writing is nowadays. You don't actually have to put effort into figuring out who people are. And then I cared about him, but the writing that was in this game made me really care as well. When you start getting some of the companions and you do the companion quests and you find out they have like a lot of stuff going on, you can kind of choose to help them if you really want to and kind of dive down that way and either support them, or you can, tell them to shut up and get in line because you're a spaceship captain. I don't have time for your small little squabbles or your personal dilemmas.
Yep.
They felt like real people, like real members of a crew, not just like a resource that you had to help you when you needed them.
And something to call out specifically about how good Black Isle's writing is they give you the options to express yourself in the game. It's not just your companions, just the other dialogue that is very expressive. You can really get your own personality across as well.
Yeah, and you can also easily role play a targeted personality you want for a run is very easily as well.
Yeah,
They're not. They don't just. Yeah, it's nice because they don't do it in a way where it's just like you can see the dialogue options and one will just be like bad, one will be good, and one will be like fun or silly. Like you can actually kind of read them and pull them from that. They're not just shoved in your face, which is a nice touch. Um, Also, they're diverse enough that if you're doing like a self playthrough, which most people do when they're playing these games, is that there's enough options that they're similar to choices that you yourself would probably make in these situations, and you feel kind of more rewarded for going down these paths. Kind of like this is what would happen if I was actually, this character that was thrust into this situation. Um, I kind of lost what I was saying from there.
Well, we've done storyline and characters.
Yeah, so that's good.
We've praised and praised it, but we can touch on world building.
Yeah, the world building was good. Wasn't I felt like it could have been a bit more, I guess, expanded. The one downside to the game, it is kind of fairly short, and it did get kind of repetitive. I do understand that the central theme of it is kind of like corporational kind of undertakings and all that stuff. But after a while, it's kind of like, is there anything else going on here? Or is this kind of just what it is? And unfortunately, kind of mostly turned out to be that. Though it was enough, I could have wished there was like a whole other, side to things. But hopefully that with a bigger studio and a bigger budget, they can kind of they can expand on this, and the sequel will hopefully be a huge overtaking of this world.
Yeah, and that was really my major takeaway from the world and the world building as well, is that this is a small budget game, and they don't have the budget to make a big world. So instead of going open world-itis, thank you for not going open world-itis. They kept the map small and to the point. Some people complained the game felt too linear because of this, but everything was tight, compressed. You still had to travel to an area, but you didn't have to travel 10 minutes to the area. And it made a better feel. They spent the money they had where the money mattered. Made a good game with the money they had, and showed it to us, saying basically, hey, if you give us more money, we can do this bigger. And I would love to see them do something bigger. I would love to see this quality of writing taken to a Skyrim scale. That would be awesome.
I have one last thing to touch upon for world building, then I'll move on to video.
Yes, please.
The side quests were done very well to assist the world building. So if you wanted to know more about the world and you walked around kind of more, there was a lot of stuff happening that you would run into, and that would kind of show everything that was going on. So like one of the first kind of space station towns you go to, you can just go linearly through everything. But if you wandered around, you run into people with problems, and then through those problems, you would actually learn what was going on and the kind of stuff that was happening. There's like a whole basement area where there's basically just outlaws just are taking over, and you can go down in there and talk to them if need be. They won't really shoot you on sight. You kind of learn everything about the world just through experiencing the actual characters and trying to help them, or try to screw people over. It wasn't just kind of forced. It's just like if it showed you as much as you kind of wanted to learn and go through. And the other part of that as well is the man, I kind of just lost exactly what I was saying, but the side quests, as well as just the kind of general map design and design of the planets and how those were kind of set and built for you too, to kind of everything was kind of connected but still separated in a nice way, that you didn't feel like everything was kind of forced, but you kind of had an understanding of the total big picture of what was going on.
Yeah, I'm with you. The world building was very very good. I really liked the organic feel to the environments that they made. You could go inside a lot of places, and in every little hidden nook and cranny, there was a box of something. There was loot hidden everywhere. You never went exploring down this side path for nothing. There was always something hidden there. You might not see it right away, but there was always something hidden there.
And one of the things that I noticed about those hidden somethings is they were often very flavorful as well. They added to the world. It wasn't just.
Yeah, that's the other thing I forgot. I was wanting to bring up was the terminals and the notes and everything that you can find just by looking around. If you read all the stuff that was going on, you'd find a lot of stuff, and it really kind of connected a lot of dots together. Like right out of the gate, if you go on your terminal when you get your ship and you read through the emails that you have between the one of the corporation guys, it really kind of expands it, and you can really kind of see what's going on. If you go to one of the first areas that was like overrun because of a science experiment, you can go through and read everyone's diaries from there. You can get a whole picture of what's going on if you want to. It's not forced on you, but if you want to, you can go through it, and it's very intriguing, and kind of also rewards you in a way, because sometimes there'll be kind of hints, or they'll let you know like, oh, I left this kind of schematic or this like weapon in this room over here, and just by reading the terminal, you now know where there's some valuable equipment.
And you actually had to read the terminal.
Yeah, but in just sometimes it would automatically just be like, oh no, I got a quest from reading it, which was like, okay.
Yeah, once the quest ones
which
were
it's understandable.
questy, which
which was understandable, but
yeah.
it was cool to still have some of the other weapon stuff that you can go through and read, and it would tell you. Same with like, it would help with some quests you would read, and it would tell you the location where certain quest items could be.
Yep, or even just getting extra background information to assist in your coming decision that you're going to have to make. You know who the people are a little bit better, you know the plight of the town a little bit better, you know how the different systems are interconnected, and who works for who, or who helps who, and what the actual weight of your decision will be when you make it, to let you make a better decision in order to guide the town or the universe or the world that you're in at that time to where you want it to be. As opposed to Fallout 3's opinion of a moral decision, which was, do you want to blow up the town? That's about the most moral decision that game ever gave you. And come on.
Yeah, not a ton of depth.
If that's like a moral conundrum, should I blow up this town and kill all these people? Like, you're a psychopath and you should probably seek help. If that one gave you pause and like when I got there, I was like, hell yeah, I want to blow up the town. If that wasn't your first take, then you should probably seek help.
Yeah, it's one of those, you know what you're gonna do one way or the other instantly. There's no thought process that goes into that.
All right, the video style.
All right. I found the graphics still to be unique, but I felt like it could have been better. Things kind of felt cel shaded, and I kind of understood what they're going for. It was probably the easiest way for the smaller team to get kind of more modern graphics without having to kind of put a lot of effort into making everything look realistic, where you go for those kind of alternative cartoonish graphics. You don't have to like realistic model everything. It's kind of a hard task. It's easier for a small team, so I understand that. But my kind of problem with the video and style is that I feel like the planets and towns could have been a bit more diverse. I find that if I just search Outer Worlds, it will go through like game screenshots. It's hard for me to actually tell like what planet the person was on or what town they were kind of in. Everything kind of just felt the same. They weren't really diverse enough. There was nothing that like this place stuck out because of this and this place stuck out because of this. There was no like just to switch back to like New Vegas, which like that game is all just desert, but it still found a way to make the areas you go to very unique. Like you remember like how different New Vegas is from even like the NCR or from the Legions or from even like someone like the gangs and stuff. Everywhere still had its own kind of flavor and taste, even though aesthetically it was all just a bunch of sand.
Yep.
So that was one thing I thought was missing from this. Overall, it was just okay.
The only counterpoint I would make to that is, while I don't disagree, it would be nice to have them be a little bit more unique. In New Vegas, those were cities run by different organizations, and in this case, they were all owned by the same board. So they would have all been built by the same sort of budget and contracting and setup.
Yeah,
and
but
not necessarily a defense of the game, but maybe a bit of a logic behind them looking similar. But I agree, some more flash to the areas to make them really feel, because each one had their own companies working out of them. They could have had more signage and different advertising specifically for those companies, so you see those signs and whatnot on the side of the street and you think, oh, that's that place.
Yeah,
And sorry, Pseudo.
Yeah.
Objectively, I would say that they did a good job keeping the consistency of the style, but I think it was subjectively, I think it was overdone, and in such a way that they sort of lost the individual locale's personality in the styling.
I agree, but at the same time, I do want to add the art style lent itself to the humor in the game. The writing fit very well with the style they ended up with.
Yeah. One thing, just to bring on your point with the corporation stuff, like I understand the towns and stuff would be fine. I'm mostly thinking of like kind of the planets and areas you go to themselves. I would have liked to see like you can stick something near like a big volcano or something, or have some sort of like reason why they're on some super dangerous and like hazardous place where it's like dust storms or it's like stuff like that. You could, like throw some sort of uniqueness instead of just like landing on a planet that had like a different color palette, but you know all the same kind of.
Yeah, the flora and fauna was pretty much the same on all the planets.
Yeah, but it's not a huge deal. Like it's a small team, so I understand it's kind of a big step.
Yeah, reused
well
assets are a thing.
Yeah, but like I said, it wasn't bad. It was just okay. It was consistent. It looked nice. The character animation and models, like facial eyes, were very good. Characters.
Yeah, the facial rigging was fantastic.
We'll put that under animation.
Yeah, did not suffer from the typical Bethesda like, is this a puppet? What's happening? Is this person like have years and years of Botox and why are they even looking at me right now? Why are they walking away? Kind of feel to it, but like the animations and like the place where it really mattered, I thought you could really see that that's where their focus went into. So I appreciate that. Like I didn't just walk into like a beautifully created world map and then you walk into a town and everyone's just like the same. I'd much prefer like, you know, the character uniqueness and maybe the planets are the different. But you can tell that they know how to prioritize things properly. But yeah, I think the actual facial and character animations were fantastic.
Yeah, for an RPG where it's very vocally driven, you really want to get not just the lips accurate on the voiceover, which is what everyone looks at, but the thing that blew me away the most in the game was the expression of emotion on the face of the characters as you talk to them. Like you could see the angst or the distaste on some of the people when you talk to them. Just from the look of them.
Yeah.
What are you talking
and it
about?
didn't feel forced either. It didn't feel like it like they don't say something and then immediately react, which was very typical in like a lot of games where it's like, okay, well he's angry now, so like play angry animation too, and it's just it felt very natural, very fluent, and even just like in between dialogues, you can tell it was done very well.
What about the character animations?
They're good. They, like I said, they were believable. Like even like the player themselves. I mean, it's first person, so you don't get much. But I mean, like, the reloading and stuff felt good. The weapons were cool, especially some of the science weapons you got and stuff like that. And enemies ran around fine. The actual like monsters and aliens you kind of fight were cool. The ships and stuff moving around were believable. And it was done well. Performance wise, I didn't run into any issues with this. I played on a high-end rig and a medium rig, and I couldn't really tell the difference too much, which was good. I didn't hit any performance bugs. I don't think I really hit any bugs. I know there were some out there, and I've heard of players talking about them, and some of them are kind of more oriented around the actual kind of story. I know there's an issue where if one of the companions will get triggered as dead, even though they're not dead. So later on in the game will treat her like it is as she's dead, but she's not, which can really mess with people, and now they kind of have to revert their save. But
Do you want me to just pop an OK on bugs right now?
um, yeah, we'll do okay.
We'll get up there, but since you mentioned
overall,
it,
overall performance wise,
yeah, the performance
overall
I have
performance
good.
wise, I'd say good. I ran. It's not frame locked or anything like that. It's optimized for the machines I played it on. I don't think anyone else is having frame rate issues on consoles that I heard of. I think it was well made. It was a polished product.
I had a very smooth playable experience in 4K.
Okay,
I'm curious if either of you were tracking frame times or frame pacing at all, because the only gameplay that I've seen of it was actually on like a rig with a 2080 Ti in it. So it's a little overkill, but I know that you guys are running the same mid-range graphics card that I am, and I'd be interested to know like what frame times looked like, because the game is gorgeous.
I was getting consistent on 1440p. I was getting 144 hertz on my 5700, and it performed basically as well as my 1080 Ti did. I was kind of worried at first when I swapped over to it. I'm like, oh, I did turn it down, and it ran the same. I didn't run into any issues between the high end and the middle card. It seemed like it was decently optimized for that mid range.
Wow, very impressive.
Yeah, I was easily at the 60 FPS mark my entire playthrough in the 4K high settings. Never noted. I didn't have actual stream numbers up for the recording, but I never had a visual frame drop. I never noticed a frame drop.
I didn't.
Very impressive.
I wasn't even using G-Sync on 120 frames plus or anything, or FreeSync, and I wasn't getting any tearing or any issues to it as well. It was actually pretty good.
Yeah, I recommend. They did a great job on that engine. The sound effects?
Let's start with voice acting. I'm going to say is good.
Start at voice acting?
Yeah, the voice acting is to me, it was fantastic. It never, the emotion, they did a fantastic job. The emotion was portrayed perfectly. Nothing really felt forced. The characters, they were consistent. I find that sometimes with some games, when they're in a certain situation, all of a sudden their voice acting kind of changes, and they'll start talking too fast, or they'll start kind of having little mannerisms that they didn't have before, and then all of a sudden they just go away once the situation goes away. You can tell from like when they recorded from different times, but it seems like whoever in charge, whoever directed the audio work for this, did a very, very good job keeping it consistent. These are how these people talk. This is just how it is. When they're angry, they're like this. When they're sad, they're kind of like this, but it's still relatable to how they are as a whole. So it was fantastically done. Sound effects were good. I remember. I'm not sure if I would say they were fantastic or perfect, but I didn't really have too much issues with them. My only issue would be that everything kind of just sounded the same. I never really noticed too much of a difference between using like any of the energy weapons or any of the guns. They all kind of just was like gun shoots, regular bullet, or gun shoots, plasma bullet, and it just sounds like either like a laser or a bullet. It wasn't anything that was fantastic, but it was good. It still sounded good, but they didn't go out the extra mile where some other games with a bigger budget or team could, and have everything feel and sound unique.
As somebody who focuses very much on the gameplay of a game, I personally would find that would knock it down to like a medium or an okay rating. So I'm curious what makes you think.
I'm actually with you, so I'm going to, but I want to hear the argument as well.
Yeah, I'm very curious about your opinion. I'm not trying to like just, Pseudo doesn't play enough shooters anymore. No, it's I'm just very curious about why you would call that a good rather than an okay.
No worries. No, I think you guys just kind of misunderstood me. I was saying that it was just okay. I was saying that I don't think I could say it was fantastic or good. It was like when I said good, I used wrong terms. I mean, like, it was not bad, so it was okay. So I agree that it is okay. They didn't go when I was saying at the end there. They didn't go kind of above and beyond where they didn't have, like I said, unique sounding weapons for each of the things, which what for me would have made it good.
Yeah.
They sounded,
Yeah.
yeah, the things were consistent. Guns sounded like guns, but they didn't. It makes sense. It didn't have to.
They basically
the
had
best
gunshot
team.
and gunshot silenced for their gunshot sounds.
Yeah, and so it was okay. It wasn't bad, but I mean, like, there's still a whole lot of improvement that could have been done. So I believe that that is just an okay.
And basically all I ever heard in the game was gunshot silenced.
Yeah, yeah. It's and you can tell when it's good when you can tell like what weapon and exactly an enemy has when you can hear the distinctive sound they're shooting at you with. But I never ran into that. I can never really tell. It's just like, oh, I'm being shot at. Wonder what they've got.
The reason I went with gunshot silenced rage is because I enjoyed my plus 25% damage.
Yeah, I can see that.
I like
can
big
see
numbers.
being the I can see the sneak attack being very attractive.
Yeah, well, I didn't have it before. I just had my sniper rifle, and that first shot would do like 90% of the biggest thing's health, and then I pull out the heavy machine gun, just mow down everything coming at me. But then I realized that if I silence my sniper rifle, I can go psh, 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 and watch everything's head explode as they walk around confused, and that was very entertaining.
And then musical score, I would also just put as okay. Nothing really stood out to me too much. The music that played in this Places You Are matched it well, but it wasn't anything that really kind of jumped out at me or took me by surprise. It was done well. It was there. It didn't have the kind of same feel that some of the other games had, where you run into a place and now you get a special radio to put on. It matches the tone of the place perfectly, and you get that kind of good feel. But it was done. I didn't really have too many complaints, but there definitely was room for improvement on there.
That's the musical score?
Yeah, but the experience that I had with the music, again, just watching the game, not playing through it myself, I thought it was good. Like, good is a loaded term here now. I thought it was okay. I didn't think it was super phenomenal.
It was there. It was done well enough, but definitely couldn't. There's still a lot of room for improvement.
I would describe it as competent. It was competent music.
Yeah.
The music there was okay. Not great. It could have been more diverse, but it met the needs of the game in its current form. We good with that wording?
Yeah. It would have been cool if they, it's probably understandable due to like scope and time, budget and stuff, but it'd been cool if they had the like kind of theme music that a lot of their other games have had. When you enter a certain place, you can kind of get the gist of what's going on from the music playing in the background. And I think I'm not even sure if they even really had too much like combat music, if it was pretty cut and dry. It's just my review basically from it is just I didn't really notice it too much.
There was distinct combat music to indicate that you were in combat, and it was very accurate to you being in combat or not, which indicated if you could use things like quick travel.
Yeah, but I'm mostly saying from like certain types of combat. Like if you're facing like bigger enemies and stuff like that, and you kind of feel, or like when you run into like a big bad, and all of a sudden this like, which Doom is fantastic at, the big bad music starts playing. You're like, oh, I'm ready to kick some ass. But it was there, so it was good. That's probably what we need to say about that. And then to move on to gameplay, overall, I'd say the controls are smooth and polished. It's nothing kind of new. It's kind of just a typical up to the standards of most games nowadays.
I'm gonna say control was okay.
Yeah, control was okay. I liked the slowdown time mechanic more than I thought I would, especially compared to VATS. Because it's kind of their replacement for VATS, and instead of just pausing the game and
that's a pretty low bar.
yeah. But I mean, like I know a few people who've liked that, and it's kind of a neat mechanic, especially like the older Fallouts, where you can kind of aim for individual parts instead of just like head, torso, and arm, and gun. But it's just the overall feel of when you're in action, it doesn't pause the game, similar to how like with Doom you don't load anymore, so now you slow it down and kind of can breathe a bit, but you can use it strategically.
I'm with you. I enjoyed the time slowdown a lot more than the VATS system. The VATS system was too much of a break in combat, too much of a break in action, too much to pull you out of the experience and the feel of the game. Whereas this one, You pop it, and you've got maybe a few seconds to just and you've got to get your clicks off in time still, even though you've got more time. Lets you pinpoint a few legs or arms, or make you feel like you're a real badass for a split second, and then right back into the real-time combat. No real downtime, no real skip.
Yeah, and then you still get penalized for taking a while, which is one thing that always bugged me about the VAT system, where you can just pause and all of a sudden, like, oh, my game is completely paused. I can take like a year to like plan out what I want to do as soon as I get thrown into like a bad area, as well as use it as like a enemy detector. So I did really prefer that system.
Trigger VATS, walk away, go make a sandwich.
That's exactly what I was going to say. VATS, I'm going to go get a drink. Yeah, no, I did that, but I will say the shooting mechanics as a shooter game were very muddy. Hit detection, stuff like that, not great.
I found them just to be like okay. I've definitely played a lot worse.
I've played worse, but it's not a good shooter.
Yeah, I'm kind of comparing it. I'm comparing it to like the previous kind of games in the same aisle, where it's like the Fallout games and even New Vegas and stuff like that, where the guns are just like you don't really feel good shooting them. At least this game you can aim and you can kind of shoot.
It felt better than the previous Fallouts. I agree. What I compared it to for Rage was Borderlands 2. That's what it feels like to me.
Yeah, it felt like Borderlands to me a bit, but without. This is the other thing I was going to bring up, especially to compare it to like Borderlands. The combat midway through the game does get very dry. You eventually just find a weapon that is very strong, and you're like, oh, I guess I roll with this now, and then you just do that for the rest of the game. And there's nothing really else that's throwing at you. Where like a game like Borderlands is like, yeah, you'll keep finding new weapons, and there's randomized things to them because like now your gun just screams when you shoot it, and it's hilarious. Or now you have this. Reloading. Yeah. Or like different things that kind of show up in those kind of shooters, right? So like, yeah, that was one of the things that would just make like combat and the control and stuff just kind of like okay. It's like at first you're like, yeah, it's a lot, it feels good, but then halfway through the game you're kind of like, okay, like I kind of wanted to like the writing is what's hooked you. So like I want to get through the writing, and now eventually the combat just kind of becomes a inconvenience in the way. Like, oh man, I got to shoot these guys and keep going forward and moving on. It wasn't anything that like it didn't give you any new powers or any new kind of special mechanics or perks. It's kind of just like I'm aiming at this guy and I shoot him and he goes down, and I aim at this guy and then we keep doing it. You can find the science weapons, which add some cool diversity to them, but it wasn't enough to really force me to use them. Once I got the plasma rifle, I'm like, I charge it up and shoot this guy and he's gone. Kept moving forward.
So that sounds very much like an okay to me.
Yeah, definitely okay. And I would say okay for mechanics.
Control okay, mechanics okay. My whole final write-up on it for as you were talking, I'm taking points out. The shooting mechanics were a bit slow / muddy. The slowdown mechanic was much better done. Down mechanic was much better done than VATS, and I enjoyed how it felt. The dedicated heal button was nice, and the hacking and lockpicking was well implemented. I actually really liked the hacking and lockpicking in it. It didn't slow down the game with this silly little mini game. My character already knows how to do it. Just do it.
That was something that I actually found myself missing in the footage that I watched, is that at least when lockpicking, you either use an auto lockpicker and it just does it, or you have the skills and it just does it. And I don't know that was my favorite way of representing lockpicking. I do feel like other games have done it better, even if it is like a silly little mini game, like, hacking a vending machine in BioShock makes you play Pipe Dream for 30 seconds. Like, I thought that was cool.
I guess I didn't really like the Elder Scrolls new Fallout implementations of it, where I'm just playing a mini game over and over and over and over and over again. Like, there's 6 things locked in this room. I don't want to play my mini game 6 times. My character knows how to hack it, just hack it. My character knows how to lockpick it, just lockpick it.
Yeah, the Zeri brings up a very good point. The hacking in Nier Automata, which I want you to play, but I don't think you'll like it, was really, really well done.
Well, we're working out a make Deus play a game system, so you can save up your points and make me play it on stream.
Make you play something you won't like.
Yep. Yeah, we're working out a there will be a suggestion box where you can suggest games for me to play. If I like the idea of it, I'll put it into a free vote. If it's a game I really don't want to play, I'll put it into a bit vote where people can cheer bits at the game, and when it reaches a certain number, I'll be forced to play. All right. So mechanics? You said okay.
Yeah. Yeah, mechanics.
Why?
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, we kind of talked over it again. Like they were there and they were good. They kind of just got old. There was nothing. Like the game's fairly short, and even though the game is short, I still got kind of bored of the mechanics halfway through. Kind of itched for something new to be thrown at me. Kind of just like the writing kept me through the whole way, but there was nothing to really complement me going through to get to the next part of the writing. It was kind of like, okay, I gotta get through this. There's no kind of. There was a few things, but nothing like.
I'm with you.
Yeah.
For the most part, the gameplay was, okay, my sniper rifle now kills things when I headshot them. Headshot, 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 headshot. Let's keep going. Headshot, headshot, headshot. Next room, headshot, headshot. Okay, what's next? Headshot, headshot. Okay, that's that area. Next area, headshot, headshot, headshot. And that was just kind of the gameplay after a while. However, the juicy story bits between those headshot bits were absolutely amazing, and that's why we kept doing those headshots. RNG. I think it's a good. I don't remember any annoying RNG into the game. They took the RNG out of speech.
Yeah, it's the only problem with like this kind of trait in our system we have right now is sometimes it doesn't always fit in most games, so it's hard to say. It's kind of just the like, I don't know if RNG was really part of the game or mechanics much. Not that I noticed.
Well,
so
if there's no bad RNG, then the RNG is good. It's basically how we work it out. It's not a attribute that many people care about. It's usually more for the competitive games, but everybody likes to know if they're going to be dealing with RNG bullshit in games, and you won't be.
Yeah,
there's no chat RNG bullshit. There's no combat RNG bullshit. There's no hacking RNG bullshit. There's no lockpicking RNG bullshit. Your character knows how to do it or they don't, and they have to use a certain amount of resources to do it depending on how good they are.
Yeah, I get that. My point is just like a not applicable stands out better than a good, because then you'll compare a game that did RNG well, and then now it's kind of a weird bar to compare where it's like we're going to be like penalizing people for attempting to do RNG.
No, I'm saying they did RNG well.
Yeah, I guess to me, I don't know where the RNG really was too much besides like loot drops.
Yeah, that's good RNG. Good RNG is good RNG. Or good RNG is RNG you don't really notice.
Yeah,
it's going on in the game, but it's not interfering with your gameplay. It's not frustrating you. It's not preventing you from enjoying the game.
That's fair. I guess we'll talk about actual the levels of stuff later. It's not really the point for right now. But yeah, I guess I'd agree. It's good.
The way I see the RNG category is you start out with a good.
Yeah.
And every time you get frustrated by RNG, it goes down.
That's a fair way to do it. Like Final Fantasy IX would get a bad.
Yes.
Bad RNG. Stealing items off of a boss is not a good way to introduce a skill. I don't want to steal off of the boss for 2 hours just to get the item. Yes, that's a true story. I fought a boss for 2 hours doing nothing but defend, heal, steal until I got the one item he had to steal, because if I didn't get the item, I wouldn't be able to learn the skill that the item teaches me, and that was the only place in the game to get it, and I've hated the game since that boss. Okay.
Yeah, not a fan of Final Fantasy IX. 10 is like my guilty pleasure, though.
I love 10. 10 was a great game. 10 was a well-done Final Fantasy game. It had a JRPG system. It had a great story. They fucked up with the leveling a little bit. They fucked with it. It was something new. They went outside the box, but it didn't break it. It allowed for a little bit more customization. It was pretty good. What are you sorry for? For disagreeing with me? If you agreed with everything I said, you would need to be locked up.
Because some of the shit he says.
Oh. Yeah, no, I'm right the fuck out to lunch most of the time. You're missing the two best Final Fantasies on that list, Zariana Plays. What are you doing here? What are you doing? 6 and 4. 6 and 4.
All right, I'm gonna try to wrap up the rest of this so you guys have time to talk about Borderlands 3.
Yes.
Accessibility.
We're gonna go a little late today, I think.
Okay, sure. Accessibility, I really wanted to give it a good because the actual art style for this was made for people with red-green deficiencies. Like the actual default thing is colorblind mode for this game, which I found was really cool. I can't give it a good though because of the control remapping. You can't change what keys pull up what menus and stuff like that, which for people with certain limitation disabilities can be very struggling and frustrating for them, such as like the menu keys, what button you push to open up a menu, and like you can default to tab, but if someone has a hard time, accessing tab or playing with like a certain controller that's made for accessibility, they are very limited to that. And I saw a few reviewers with disabilities that talk about it, saying like they appreciated the initial stuff and they like how there was stuff there, but they just missed the target on a bunch of stuff, and it made the combat a chore to them when the writing was so good. That they couldn't kind of customize a little bit of the game that was so important
Yeah, that's
to
unfortunate.
suit their needs. So I would leave it as okay. They were aware of it and they made a color by mode default, which is really cool. But other than that, they missed the target on the actual customization of the game interactions for menus and stuff like that.
Yeah, I agree. If you don't have complete keybind customization nowadays, you're definitely lacking. But it is a cost in game development. We don't really know what this, because they are a small indie studio, so we have no idea what was really up at the end of it, and it could have been down to, hey, we've got to get it out and we've only got time to do, tweak these things or create this, and the tweaks might have been more important.
Yeah, I do really, really appreciate. I want to give them a shout out for actually making the default, the actual just style of the game colorblind friendly, and not.
Yeah. But they get the
most
okay
people have an option, but it's cool that it's just you don't have to worry about it, right? Which was like I thought there was something different about the art style for a while that I couldn't put my mind on or put my thumb on. And when I read that and saw that, I was like, oh, that makes sense. Why it kind of looks the way it does. But it's cool that they don't even need a setting for it. It's just how the game is. You don't have to feel like you're different or have to turn on a special setting for yourself because you're different. It's like, no, you can just experience the game the same way everyone else does. And it didn't really feel that different for everyone else who doesn't have that that issue.
Yeah, that is great. The only thing you haven't touched on at this point is bugs, and I'm going to do the top final assessment here while you talk about it.
Sure. I brought up a little bit before. There wasn't too much I ran into personally. I had no issues, but I've seen some other people bring up some stuff that probably should have been caught by the QA team and not have been out there, especially some of the big issues such as a quest line gets triggered falsely way before, and then now you're near the end of the game and now you can't get the end you want because the game thinks you killed someone that you didn't kill. You chose to have them, and now you're missing out on that reward. And then to rectify that, you're going to have to restart, which is really kind of really grants my gears in a lot of ways when games have that happen or you lose your save in that way. The other thing I saw, the patch just came out recently for the game and was reading the patch notes. It's kind of hilarious. The hammer you get, the science hammer, there was an issue or a bug with it where instead of scaling the damage linearly, they were scaling it exponentially. So that's why you would just one-shot things. It was like, oh yeah, it has like a DPS of like 100 to 300 or whatever you had it to, and it would just like do 1200 damage. It turns out that was a bug. So unfortunately for a lot of people, they also didn't know this, the game was just stupidly easy for them. Like, I got this hammer and just killed everything. I thought I was just getting lucky with my procs, and it's like, oh nope, turns out the game was bugged, and now your kind of initial playthrough has been kind of ruined because the game was too easy. And if you go back and play it, and now there's certain people who had this weapon the whole time, and now the game just got a lot harder for them because this weapon isn't as strong as it was, and now they're going to have to readjust. So it's one of those things where it's like, that probably should have been caught, but I mean, these things happen.
That reminds me of my Borderlands 3 shotgun.
Yeah.
I had this 1000 damage Borderlands 3 shotgun that was just like the best weapon we had found till that time in the game. Oh my god, it's 1000 damage. And then one day I checked my stats and what? It's 3000 damage. And for the rest of the game, I one-shot everything.
Yep, that was a thing. I immediately felt impotent.
Okay, so as a summary, we have an okay on gameplay, an okay on audio, but good video and good writing, and that is actually a great summary for the game. Because it's an RPG game, the gameplay and the writing are really the heaviest weights, and the writing overpowers any lack of gameplay. It is a good game, it is a great game, it is a game you should buy, it is a game worth picking up now, it is a game worth playing through. We wholly recommend it. Rage doesn't even have a comedy. She's like, I'm going to drink to that.
No, it's very much not the style of game that I would want to play, but I have no problem recommending it. I do think it is a fantastic game.
And I'd also like to point out that this team, as a studio, as a merger, they've done now 5, 6, 7 games under their belt. And every single one of these are solid gold. There's not a bad game in the mix from the stuff this studio has let out. So when you hear another game coming from this studio, don't pre-order it. We tell you never to pre-order anything. Don't do that. Bad habits. But watch it. It's going to be good. Borderlands 3.
What a game. What a game. See, I really don't think that this is going to end up being like technically recommended, but holy shit, I love this game. I love it so much.
I have been having an excellent time playing it. I really have been. And this is like we've always said, you can like a bad game. You can play a bad game and enjoy it. It's totally okay. I enjoy games that I say are bad all the time. So if we call a game you love bad, don't be offended. Don't get butthurt. Don't send us hate mail or bombs or anything nasty like that. Just accept that there was a poorly built game that you got enjoyment out of. You know? Like, I don't hate on people for listening to Spice Girls. Not good music, but if you enjoyed it, hey, it's your jam. Whatever. No, pre-orders are not okay, even if the company has a good track record.
Pre-orders are never okay.
It's a bad habit of companies that they are beginning to abuse in order to release buggy software, get you to buy it before it's ready, and then use the money you paid in order to finish its development. And this is something we see happen a lot, and it's happening more and more and more and more. So please, please, please stop pre-ordering your games. Make the companies make a good game before they give you your money. Thank you.
Yeah, just pre-ordering only really made sense back in like your guys' day when there was.
You're calling me old?
Yeah, I can do that.
What? Because I'm bald? Is that why?
No, I'm mostly referring to the Dez's wizard look, and wizards typically aren't young. But what I meant to say is back in the day, especially with like Nintendo cartridges, there were issues massive producing a lot of that stuff. So there was a limited supply. So that's where like pre-ordering was a thing. It's like, yeah, if you wanted your copy day one, you had to pre-order it. In the day of digital downloads and the amount of copies they have now, it doesn't make sense to pre-order it anymore because you're going to get your copy that day or the next day anyways. So there's no point to give them all your money before. And a lot of the time, a pre-order wasn't a pre-purchase of the game. You typically would just pay a bit of money to the actual store to hold a copy for you before, and then sometimes you could even get that back after the purchase was done, just like as like a reserve. And then so nowadays it just doesn't make sense. It's just you're basically just giving them free early money for something they haven't even deserved yet.
Okay, to touch on the pre-order thing, when we're talking about games where it's an indie studio, a small studio, something not AAA, where you see they're doing something you love, something you're really, really, really into, it's your kind of style, or just it's something unique and interesting and different, and you love the idea, and you love the little company and what they're trying to get together, and you want to support them, buy it. Go ahead and buy into the alpha and buy an early copy of the game because you want to support the studio, but don't do it because the AAA studio said, hey, we've got this fancy skin, give us your money. That's not a good reason.
I
Remember, the CEOs of these AAA studios can afford to finance these games out of pocket. 100%. They are worth billions of dollars. They will be fine.
Yeah. And not to confuse pre-ordering with early access. Early access is pretty terrible for the most part too. But in the niche case of like very independent studios who want user feedback, and they usually offer the game at a discounted rate. And if the game's like $20 for an early access, then that is fine with me. You have the choice to join that at a discounted rate before the game is expensive. You're basically paying for about what you get.
Yep.
So I'm okay with that for the most part. I'm not okay when it's like a game is early access for 3 years at a full price. If a game's early access at like $40 to $60, I'm like, this is just kind of bullshit.
Yeah, I mean, like I said, there are some indie alpha projects that I saw, and I was like throwing money at them. Pantheon MMO, super psyched for. Saw they're taking MMOs back to what MMOs should be, back to a wonderful place, and I instantly bought a Knight supporter pack. I think it was $200. I knew the game wouldn't be out for years, but I was just like, yes, I want to be a part of this movement. I'm giving you money to tell you that the community really wants this. The other one that I did that with was Grinding Gear Games and Path of Exile in its beta. I was a $250 silver supporter to just give them money. This game, keep doing what you're doing. Beautiful, beautiful decision. I don't play the game a ton, but I absolutely love the game's design. I love the map system. I love the skill system. Path of Exile, if you want a free-to-play ARPG, is strongly recommended. Beautiful game.
Yeah, really good game. And I am like super into Diablo 3, but just because I prefer the other side of the coin doesn't mean I'm not going to acknowledge that Path of Exile is amazing. It is a really good game.
Okay, I'll let you dig into Borderlands 3. We've got 15 minutes for normal stream time, but I'm not going anywhere. I like this game.
I do actually have some earlier appointments to keep, so I'm just gonna run through this like super fast. If you want to go on the typey types.
Okay.
Sure.
So, world building, it's okay. It's not great. It's within the Borderlands universe. It fits inside the Borderlands universe, but the locations don't feel particularly unique, other than the stuff that you're actually shooting in them. The storyline is overall fine. It does not measure up to Borderlands 2, not even in the slightest. Borderlands 2 was done much better. So I would say, again, okay. The character writing, I thought, was actually one of the stronger points of Borderlands 3, although also not as strong as Borderlands 2. The writing for Flack in particular, I found to be hilarious. Mose has some very good one-liners as well. Lilith has been consistent throughout the whole series, and I love how she was portrayed in this game. Who else was good? I really hated the villains, but for entirely different reasons that you hate Handsome Jack in Borderlands 2. Mostly because I just found them really insufferable.
That summarize your character for you?
Yeah. Performance, okay at best. What do you think, Deus? Maybe all the way down to bad?
Yeah, I'm gonna call it. It performs okay. Oh, let's give it the bad on bugs.
Yeah, sure.
When
Let's
it
put bad
actually
on bugs.
loads and plays, it performs okay.
And it does perform better in DX12, but their DX12 implementation is also broken and doesn't work while I'm using my VPN for some reason. The style, I would say consistent with the Borderlands style from the previous games, just turned up another notch. I would say that that's actually good, not just okay. Animations I found to be fairly solid. I'm sort of on the fence between okay and good in
good.
animation.
I'm on the good side, if that helps push you off the fence.
Sure. I'd go with the good then. I'd say the animations are pretty well done. Everything looks good.
Hate it as a mechanic, but it did look decent.
Yep. Sliding is particularly broken.
Yeah, we did not like the sliding in the game. Take it out.
Yeah, not so much the fact that the sliding is there. The fact that the sliding is there is fine. It's the fact that you can get loot that makes you slide faster than you can run. That's what broke it.
Then your teammates just end up getting left behind, and it becomes fairly uninteresting fairly quickly.
Yep. Sound effects, I would say, very much a strong point of the game. Incredibly well done. Good. The explosions sound good. You have different weapon varieties that deal with different varieties of damage, and they all sound different, and it's all procedurally generated. You get literally billions of combinations of guns. The voice acting, I would say, this is an interesting one, because how much do you want to put on the voice actors versus the game's director?
See, the voice acting was good. The writing for the voice acting was questionable.
Yeah. So yeah, I guess the voice acting was good. And well-delivered lines, stayed in character. It was good. Musical score, I would say overall okay. The opening and ending tracks are great. The rest of it is pretty forgettable. Bugs, bad. Yep. Yep.
That last one. That actually happened to us. We finished a quest, and then the person who gives us a quest item that we need for finishing it, like, throws it out of his character, and it went off the edge and flying into oblivion.
And we just went, what? But how?
Control?
Control, I would actually say, is good.
I agree.
Controls really well. The shooting mechanics feel great. The controls are very responsive. Jumping feels, floaty like Borderlands, but it feels good. Sliding, despite the fact that there are major problems with sliding balance, feels great.
I'd love to participate, but my stream keeps dropping every 30 seconds, so that's horrible. You need better internet, my friend. You need better internet. Trying to find out what's eating my bandwidth. Did you remember to close the porn?
RNG, I would say, is actually fine. Like, I have no problems with the way RNG is used in Borderlands 3. Loot drops. They're working on tuning it as well. They're bringing it so that, like, certain bosses will drop certain guns from their loot tables.
I like loot tables. I love loot tables. More people need to use loot tables. Old MMO trick that creates excellent farming experiences.
So yeah, I think good. It was a good experience with the RNG in Borderlands, and it doesn't negatively impact your ability to play the game.
Yeah, I think it actually enhances it and creates replayability.
Mechanics, I would say, probably good. Any other opinions on that one? Because just like the shooting feels great, and that's how you interact with most of the game.
I think I'm gonna give it an okay just because of the sliding mechanic.
Yeah, that's fair.
If they were to get rid of that, then it would be good. but
Yep.
it's just the shooting is good. Oh, also the elements completely nerfing and making useless raw damage type.
Yes, that is also true. That being said, we both did like how important elemental damage is in Borderlands 3.
MPA. Damn those
The
MPAs.
MPA.
The MPAs. And accessibility?
Captioning, separate audio sliders, FOV. I remember seeing colorblind options in the menu, I think. I can't confirm how good the colorblind options are because I am not, in fact, colorblind, but they were there.
So good?
Yeah, I would say overall actually good.
That means gameplay actually comes out to a good, all in all. Unless you want to give it an okay because of the bad and
I
bugs.
would say okay.
The bad and the okay bring it down.
The bugs are bad.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think a bad, like a -2, an okay, a -1, and then 3 goods, a +1. That's about an average. It's an okay.
So overall, I adore this game. I absolutely love this game. I don't think it's very well made.
Yeah, it's not the greatest put together game. I agree. But I'm having a ton of fun playing it. And if you are a Borderlands fan, and particularly a shooter fan that likes Borderlands, I would say this game is your niche. If you're one of the Borderlands writing fans that just was playing it for the writing primarily and isn't a huge shooter fan, you might be a little disappointed by this one. You might be.
Yeah.
The writing is not as strong, but the shooting and the control itself just feels much better. It's much more enjoyable as a shooter game and much less of an RPG.
Text is very small on my screen. Shooting mechanics are better than before. Good. We called out how good the shooting is.
Yes. Yes, we absolutely did.
Because it is leaps and bounds ahead of Borderlands 2, which is leaps and bounds ahead of Borderlands 1.
Yes, I'm noticing a drastic improvement. Though that's not to say I'm not having a blast going back and playing through Borderlands 2 with Rage. And if you guys would like to see a little bit more of some older Borderlands 2 and some Borderlands 3 coming up, we will be streaming together. If anybody out there has Borderlands 3, we welcome you to come join us on the stream as we do the raids. They are tuned for 4. It makes it a little more interesting when the two of us aren't getting shot at by twice as many things as we should be. Fun,
Yeah,
but
it's tough.
yeah.
It's difficult.
Maybe we shouldn't be doing it on the highest difficulty, but yeah, no, whatever.
It'll be fine.
Like, yeah, this content is made for 4 people, so we're gonna do it on the highest difficulty with 2. Because that's just how we roll. So I would like to say a very big thank you for those of you that came out. This is actually our first official panel as affiliates. Yay, huzzah. Very exciting. We want to thank and welcome all the people that have been supporting us so far. I hope you've enjoyed this panel. We do have a panel planned for next week. We had something else planned, but I am flipping ship and throwing something else in there. And we are going to be doing a dedication to Brad McQuaid next week. go over all of his work. And then I want to dig into some different MMO mechanics. I've been playing a lot of the new MMOs. Pseudo used to play MMOs, and Rage is just a smart guy who knows a lot about game mechanics, so it'll be an interesting discussion to see where MMOs have been headed, and I'd like to diagnose some of the issues that have been coming up in newer MMOs and really look at a trend and history as to what caused them.
Yeah, it's something that I'm very much looking forward to digging into, especially because I have fairly minimal experience with MMOs. So it's something that I'm very excited to learn about, and I'm really looking forward to.
That being said, thank you for joining Games by Design. I am Deus.
I am Rage.
And I'm Pseudo.
May all your shots be headshots. If you'll stick around for just a minute, we're actually going to run our very first ever thank you to our supporters, to our moderators, all of those people that make this channel what it is and let us do what we do. This will be a more standard ending from now on. Thank you very, very much. We could not do this without you. Have a wonderful day. You know what? We're gonna find someone to raid. We actually stop early enough today to raid someone. I'm not even quite sure how to do it. But who do we have to raid? Who do we have? Actually, you know what? Nobody I really like is even really streaming yet. So we won't today. That was the credits. Rating is where I take all of my wonderful, loyal, fantastic viewers, and I pass you all to another streamer, and then you all pop into his stream for about 10 seconds so that he can get spammed by my people, and you can all spam his chat, and then you can all disconnect. That's usually how it works. Yes.
That
Good
or,
night.
Just go watch Hob. Hob's really good.
Yeah,
Go
Hob's
watch
doing a
Hob.
Dark Souls 2 run right now. I'm not gonna rate him, but I recommend Hob. Very entertaining guy. Okay, until next week. Goodbye.